And welcome back, everyone. As promised before, I'm gonna make some more tier list videos. And today I'll be analyzing and grading the secondary pilot abilities. So, the abilities that you get on unlocking a pilot that influence the mecha that you're controlling and that are swappable. So, these, even though you get them with a pilot, you can swap them around once after locking, and sometimes they do alter your playstyle quite a bit. So let's jump right into it. Oh, but before we do that, let me make clear that this is a list of my opinions, and if you have a different opinion, that's all fine. Just leave a comment, and we can engage in discussion if you want that. And if not, please enjoy, and let's get right to it. So the first ability I have here is Hive Infrastructure that you get from Ning. And this one increases max mecha durability, and at max level is 210. And I think it's a pretty decent ability to have. It's a static. Can help you survive one or two more attacks depending on the enemy. Um, it's not the best, not the worst. It's just, yeah, I think right around A or A plus. It will work on every mecha basically, so that's what keeps it so high. That's why I think it's an A plus, because some of these are very mecha dependent, and I do tend to value the ones higher that actually work on every single mecha. Like, for example, the one that you get with ROM, which is called Combat Control. Now, this is one of those abilities that you could actually rock on every single mecha, and you will be better because you can use your tactical skills more often, more frequently. It reduces your combat skill cooldown for mecha. And yeah, I cannot imagine a scenario where that's a bad thing. The only reason why I don't grade this as S plus is because there's at least one that is superior in most cases. So even though this works on every mecha, I do think it's not the best one. Um, I do think it's a really good default pick though. If you don't know what to go for, I think having lower cooldowns is good in general. Alright, then let's go on to Joanna. If you unlock her, she gives you the Expeditious charge, and this is something that increases the max fuel of Mecha. And in the beginning, I used to run this quite a lot because I played a lot of Hot Steel and Andromeda. Neutron Star, special Neutron Star, this one is really good because it allows you to dash more frequently. But on a lot of mecha, it's actually not as great because most mecha don't really suffer from having too little fuel, or that you can do much more with more fuel. I think the hovering mecha in general work really well with this, but not all mecha are hovering. So that's why I think, I mean, still on Hot Steel, on Neutral Star, I think it's still pretty good. But nowadays I prefer actually the shorter cooldowns over this because I think both of these actually, no, the Hive structure is better because it works on every mecha, and this one is actually the Expeditious charge is in some cases even useless on some of the mecha. So it's almost like you're running no secondary pilot ability. But yeah, I think these two are very like uh, newbie friendly, let's say. If you don't really know what to do, they will help you out. But the moment you get better at piloting the mecha, they kind of start to fall off a little bit compared to the others. All right, let's continue with Ivan's um, ability. Oh, I have to select it. It's the gravity amplifier. I got my phone here with me to read out the. Here it is. The gravity amplifier. I have not upgraded this. I did try it out a little bit, but yeah, I don't think it's that great. So it decreases the maximum mecha durability, and the amount that it decreases it with is converted into shield. So theoretically, this could be good on mecha with a lot of hit points, and that kind of have like this hit and run kind of tactic. Um, so it could work on Neutron Star or Hurricane, now also on Akashic. The thing is, those mecha have relatively low hit points, durability already. So by lowering that even further and increasing your shield, you would have to really play into it. I don't think um, this ability functions well by itself. You would actually have to play around it instead of the other way around. I prefer where the ability actually improves on a playstyle that's already there, like this one or this one. And this one actually lets you or forces you kind of to adapt around it. So that's why I don't really like it so much. Moving on to the ability that we get with Iori. It's called Self Repair Device. And I did, you see, it's level 2. But I'm afraid I also have to grade this as the lowest. I would, I ran it a couple of times, but actually, I I'm never running it ever again since for like half a year or something. And the reason for that, let me first say what it does. Self repair device restore durability every 4 seconds after disengaging. So, every 4 seconds you get a little bit of durability back after disengaging. So for certain sneaky playstyles, this could work um, by being less dependent on healing. So I think in solo queue this could work, but if you play a lot of squad games, you have to keep moving and be on the run with your teammates. And yeah, you can jump into a deformed car or use a skateboard, but in general, I think all of those things um, again are forcing you to play in a certain way instead of be more flexible with, for example, having lowered cooldowns. So I'm not sure. I think it is a little bit better than the other one because it can be useful, but then again, it's pretty low because if you max this out at level 6, it restores 20 durability every 4 seconds. So if a mecha has like 3000 hit points, it's gonna take a long time before you recover any uh, significant percentage of that. That's why I don't think it's that great. It's just too slow. If it would have been a higher durability amount, or not every 4 seconds, but every second, then sure. But now I think it's just not working out. Another one that has some potential, but it's not really working out, is the one that you get from, um, um, sorry, what's the name? Mila. And this one is called Extreme Firepower. You gain more damage for every 10% lost by mecha. So this could again work well on brawlers like Venturus or Akashic or um, Arthur. Even Caramel, I think it's originally in, you see even the face of Caramel, so I'm guessing it's intended for that. But the thing is, um, dealing more damage while losing health sounds pretty good on paper because especially when you're brawling, you will be losing health most of the times. But the thing is, if you play well, it doesn't do anything. If you don't, for example, if you sneak attack someone and jump them unaware, that your enemy is unaware, this one does nothing for you. So um, I think it's a very situational thing. And also the damage increase is not so much. So every 10% at max rank, it increases 1.5 damage dealt. So let's say you are at half life, you do roughly 6 or 7% more damage. That doesn't really sound like worth it to me. Okay, moving on to the pilot ability we get from R.E.D. Strong interference. Let's first read it because I haven't used this one. Uh, so you get plus 15 duration of debuffs caused by Mecha to enemies. Okay, so these are at least some higher numbers. So it starts at 15% duration of debuffs, and it ends at level 6 at 30% duration of debuff. So a debuff, I think they refer to the stun ability of Arthur, for example, or um, now also Akashik, but probably also the burning effect from Firestar. So that will last longer, and maybe also uh, the charges from Boltus. I think that also counts as a debuff, although it doesn't really harm the mecha directly. So yeah, it's very situational. Only with a few mecha it could work, and making it longer. Um, so instead of having like what is it, 1.5 seconds of stun with Arthur, it will probably be more roughly around 2 seconds, which is actually pretty good. But the thing is, I think the 1.5 seconds by default is already enough. The moment you get stunned by an Arthur, you're in big trouble anyway. So I don't think increasing the duration is doing so much compared to, for example, if I'm playing Arthur, I would much rather have either more fuel or more durability or decreased cooldowns. So it's not that the strong interference is bad by itself, it's just lacking compared to the alternatives. And since you can only have one, I think it's it's fine over here. Then we're moving on to I also have to search this one up. The one you get with Lillian is called Pursuit Program. I also have not upgraded this one. So you get plus 5 movement speed for 3 seconds, but only once every 9.5 seconds, upon scoring a hit with a secondary weapon. So that's a lot of ifs, and only for that reason already I will place it here for now. So plus 5% movement speed is not so much already, and then if you max it out, it's plus 10% movement speed for 3 seconds, but only once every 7 seconds. So that's the second number also gets lower, but still gaining a minor movement speed of 10%, 10% is not so much. Um, for 3 seconds is also relatively short. It's like a burst of movement, but only once every 7 seconds if you maxed out this ability. Every 7 seconds is pretty not frequent. Um, so that's already not great. And then the movement speed, sure, you can dodge a little bit better, but uh, again, if I want to dodge a bit better, I would prefer to either have more fuel or have lower cooldowns on my dash, for example. Dash ability, combat maneuver, or tactical skill, whatever they call it. But then, on top of that, you only get this buff upon scoring a hit with a secondary weapon. Now, with some mecha, scoring a hit with a secondary weapon is very um, easy, like Arthur or Newton Star. But then again, then you don't need that movement speed for 3 seconds, and also every 7 seconds. Um, so this ability is kind of hitting itself in the foot by giving you something when you don't need it. Um, but with other mecha where you might actually want to have it, for example with Andromeda, or I can also imagine with Aurora or with Hurricane, getting that extra burst of movement after hitting a secondary can be pretty good, but then you first have to hit it. So it's a lot of ifs, and I don't like it for that reason. Let's move on to Vita, and she gives you what is it called here? Quick Shield Recharge. This one is pretty decent actually. I will place it right here. It gives you at base level plus 10 shield plus 10% shield recovery, minus 15% recovery cooldown. So that means that the recovery will be bigger of the shield, but also will trigger faster after taking no damage for a certain amount of time. And at max level, it gives plus 20% shield recovery, which is quite a big chunk, and minus 30% recovery cooldown, which is actually pretty good, especially with mecha that are um, more dependent on their shield, like Hurricane or Neutron Star. In general, I think, let me think, from the top of my head, it's only actually Northern Knight that has a very tiny shield. Most of the other mecha have a pretty substantial shield. So I do think it works on most mecha. It's actually slightly below, maybe it's here. It's pretty good, but I do think there's just having the flat increase of HP, uh, hit points, durability is better than getting a shield back with it, because this works more on the assassin hit and run type of mecha. Works a little bit better. Well, I think this one works on every mecha. But then again, on the hit and run mecha, this is actually superior to that one. While this one, yeah, let's put them next to each other. They both basically give you more survivability um, in a different way, and they both work differently for different mecha. I think they're both pretty decent. Moving on to what we get from Silver Deacon, and I think that's a very specific one. Let me just grab it here real quick. It's the Fatal Verdict. I love that name though. At level 1, primary weapon gains 4% attack bonus versus enemies more than 150 meters away. At max level, it's gonna be 6.5% attack bonus versus enemies, but still more than 150 meters away. So that's the 4% and the 6.5%. That difference is really not worth in, I don't know, investing 400 or something or 500 of those blue books. Unless you only play sniper mecha like Raven, Gabriel, Snow Mirage, maybe even Pulsar. But yeah, it's only those few mecha that could benefit from this. But then the damage increase, sure, on big hits. So with Raven, for example, if you shoot for 800 and then let's say 6%, 800, so 10% is 80. So you will do like 40, 30 or 40 extra damage. That's not really gonna make the difference, even if you increase this. It's only from 150 meters away, so the moment they get close, you lose this, and then you have nothing. Then I would much rather have actually any of the others, like literally even this one. I would much rather have extra damage upon losing health than only having extra damage when which is actually a bigger percentage, than only having extra damage when they are far away. So no, I think this one is actually really bad. If you think otherwise, please leave a comment. But I think if I can make a recommendation, never put points in this. It will be a waste of your resources. Moving on to Cyrus. And Cyrus actually has a pretty interesting one, I think. Hail of Bullets. Let me start by placing it here. It's a very simple ability. It says plus 10% reload rate. And at max level, at level 6, plus 20% reload rate. So that means you basically just reload faster. So the only mecha where there's two mecha from the top of my head where this is quite useless, and that's gonna be Skyfall, because you can already reload while dashing, and Raven, because Raven does not reload. And maybe Arthur? I don't know if Arthur's recharging or reloading ability counts as reloading actually. So depending on whether it counts as such, this could be good on Arthur or not. But just because I'm already excluding 3 mecha, I will place this a little bit lower. This is really good on, for example, Trio of Enders, Hurricane, Firefox, all the mecha that just want to continuously be blasting. I also played it on Hot Steel, even Andromeda, Ranger. Actually, I played this one on quite a lot of mecha, and it does increase your damage potential, definitely. Um, so, yeah, I do think it's relatively the same in power as having more fuel. Because it will just make your mecha function better, basically, by equipping this. Um, it's definitely better than all the others below here. Is it better, just as good as having more HP though? That really depends on how good you are. I think these three actually, are good regardless of your level of play. And this one, I think gets better the better you are as a player. So the more you are able to use your surroundings and map awareness and enemy awareness and skill awareness to your advantage, I think this gets better. But at the same time, if you do that already, this also starts to slack off, because then you will just use your surroundings to take cover for recharging, reloading. Yeah, I think right in the middle is pretty good for this one. Um, Moving on to the next pilot in the release order, that's Serena. And Serena, of course, has something relating to recovery and healing. Now it is called Protect and Recover. So let me just change my legs a little bit. There we go. Protect and Recover. Effects for shield recovery skills, excluding modules, improved by 7.5% plus 7.5% recovery with recovery items, including Team Deathmatch Recovery Pack. Yeah, so that's a lot of text for very very mediocre skill. So at level 6, it's gonna be improved by 15% and 15% recovery with recovery items. So yeah, this does let you be more efficient with your healing resources. And in certain situations that can be beneficial, but in general, I think I will never choose this over these two. I will never choose over any other ability unless I want to do some kind of challenge or something. Well, in team deathmatch, I can imagine that this one is actually a little bit better, because then you are more dependent on the amount of health you gain from those recovery packs. But in other modes, or in just the default Battle Royale mode, I don't think this does enough. So, and also it says excluding modules, which makes it even less good because if it was including modules, then multiple mecha could actually benefit from this because there's some that get more shielding upon a certain trigger to happen, but those are excluded. So this is purely the little items that you find around that you can use for healing. And yeah, 7.5% till until 15%, I think, just doesn't cut it. So yeah, protect and recover, nice idea, but I think those numbers have to be higher for this to be relative, relevant. I mean, so yeah, for example, uh, if it would be increased 50%, yeah, then this could actually be noticeable. But otherwise, no, it's just too little. Then we go to what I would say the superior um, pilot ability. It's called Lightning Mantra. You get it from Chong, and I think this one is good for bad players, for good players, for mediocre players, for everyone who plays the game and pilots a mecha. This skill is both defensive, aggressive, gives you information that no other skill gives, and it works on every single mecha. So let me tell you what it does. Lightning Mantra. Use a tactical skill to call a lightning strike on the nearest enemy, dealing 100 damage to mecha or 20 to a pilot. Cooldown 20 seconds. At max level, the cooldown remains 20 seconds, but then the lightning will deal 125 damage to mecha or 35 to pilot. So, first of all, the damage does not sound like too much. It's roughly 5 to 10% of a mecha and roughly 10% to 10% or more to a pilot. It's not so much, but it can be used when all your cooldown, when you're reloading, when all your damage and cooldowns are up, you can just use this to finish someone off or to do just a little bit of extra damage, which is always useful. But that's not even the best part. It also gives you information. So when you demax sometimes you lose sight of the pilot. Sometimes they're sneaky, sometimes they're quick. It's really hard to keep up with them. You dash and you will find them because on your minimap, on your radar, they will be highlighted. So you have at least an indication of the direction where they are. Um, Sometimes I'm just dashing for movement and I discover, oh wait, there's a pilot right underneath me that I didn't see before. Um, it, it's the utility in combination with the damage is amazing, and also the cooldown of only 20 seconds is great because matches last between, if you get to the top 10, they last between 13 and 18 minutes roughly. 20 seconds is nothing then. In my experience, most of the times when you need this ability to do something, it does something. And let me think. There's some mecha where sometimes I prefer this one, like for example Akashik or Jojo or let me think, maybe even Arthur. Sure, I would like to have more lower cooldowns, but even then, if I have to make a choice of uh, to really do my best in winning a game, I will take this one actually over that. So having that extra damage, having that extra information means a lot. And it's just a pilot ability. And also, just to show, all of these do one single thing. This one already does two things. That's on itself reason to say that this one is superior because it does two very important things. Um, and it's strange because it doesn't mention it in the text here, but it gives you information on your minimap. So if I can make another recommendation and you don't know which pilots to get next, get Chong as soon as possible because she gives you this ability. You don't even have to play Chong, although I do think Chong is a pretty solid pilot with her increased damage and mobility. Good pick overall. Um, but this one, go for it. Try it out and let me know your experience. Also, let me know if you think it's shit. Just you can. I just think it's a superior pilot ability. Moving on to Norma, and Norma gives you one that I accidentally upgraded because at first I thought this was what this chain electroshock is actually what lightning mantra does, but I was wrong. So this one chain electroshock says for 7 seconds after using a secondary weapon, 12 damage plus 12% damage to next primary weapon attack. There's a 9-second cooldown, and upon leveling it up, only the damage increases. So it ends at level 6, plus 22% damage to next primary weapon attack. 9-second cooldown. Yeah. So I actually think this is pretty situational. So it's a lot of ifs. That makes it not so great. 7 seconds is a pretty long time actually to be bursting someone down with your primary weapon after hitting a secondary. So at first I thought like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But then when I read more carefully, it says it's only the next primary weapon attack that gains the bonus. So on mecha that have like fast shooting weapons like um, Hurricane, Firefox, Trio of Enders, Venturus. So where every single bullet does relatively low damage, but they shoot a lot. This is actually really, really bad. Because that, what is it, 22% damage at max level, doesn't do enough. That hardly does anything. Because it's only once. On other mecha that have like bigger hitting arrows or bullets like Raven or Skyfall or even Hatsu has multiple bullets, so that also doesn't work. So yeah, a Snow Mirage, Raven, Skyfall, maybe Andromeda, maybe Arthur. It does something, but it's still only the first hit. So actually, let's put it here. It's only the first hit, and it's after hitting the secondary. So it's a lot of ifs. It's only 7 seconds is decent, but it just doesn't do enough for the hoops you have to jump through to gain the buff to begin with. Okay. Then we move on to Yutong. And Yutong has a very interesting one, very specialized. So it only works, you even see it in the image, you see an image of Aurora. So on the mecha where it's good, it's really good. They did nerf it a little bit after I upgraded it fully. Sometimes it goes like that. So this hovering attack gives you at level 6 plus 5.2% damage bonus when mecha is hovering more than 8 meters off the ground, and the greater the altitude, the greater the damage, up to 7.2% at 20 meters when hovering above the ground. So, of course, Andromeda, Aurora, Hurricane, even Arthur can also hover. Also, Skylark can hover while descending. I think who else? Well, those are like the main mecha that I can think of now. They all benefit quite a bit from this pilot ability. The downside of this one, though, is that if you don't pilot any of those, it does nothing for you. So these are useful for any mecha. These are situational. So yeah, situational but good in those situations. I do think A rank is good for that. So yeah, you will blast more damage when piloting Andromeda or Hurricane or Aurora and all the mecha that I just mentioned. But even if that's the case, I would much rather have the extra flat damage once every 20 seconds by the lightning mountain while gaining extra information, or just having lower cooldowns. That that's just better than having the damage in a specific situation on specific mecha, I would say. Okay, we're almost there. Nighthawk has, what is it called again? Shadow Hunter. Another one of those situational specific pilot abilities. Hold off attacking for 6 seconds for plus 8% damage on the next attack. And I don't like it that it's only on the next attack. For that reason, I will place it down here. Because at level 6, so it does decrease also the amount of time you don't have to attack. At level 6, it's going to be hold off attacking for 4.5 seconds for plus 8% damage. So here the damage stays the same, but just the time frame gets lower. Yeah, so sure, on a sniper mecha like Snow Mirage or Raven or Gabriel, even Pulsar, this can be decent, but at the same time, not attacking for 4.5 seconds is quite a long time actually. So that means that you would have to snipe once, then dash away, get in a different position so they don't find you, wait a little bit, and snipe again. Um, in theory, that could be a valuable playstyle, but then again, you would have to change your entire playstyle to make this pilot ability work, and I don't think that's worth it. Also, because it's only plus 8% damage. So, just so you know, if the damage is lower, but let's say you shoot for 1,000 damage, it's gonna be only plus 80. That's nothing. Not even. Yeah, plus 80. That's nothing. And so on a 800 damage strike from or 700, you just do like 40 or 50 more damage on one extra hit. That's no thank you. Then the last one that came out with Mobius is called Wing of Swiftness. And this when this came out, I did try it out a little bit, and the so Wing of Swiftness, it increases movement speed by 15% when taking damage for 3 seconds. Triggers one time every 6 seconds. So every 6 seconds or 6 seconds cooldown. It lasts for 3 seconds and you get a movement speed increase of 15%. And at max level, the movement speed increase goes to 26%. 3 seconds is a very short time. That's just like a sudden burst of movement. But for being so sudden, I think the movement speed increase is too low. So they should either increase the time frame that the buff lasts, or increase the movement speed increase, or preferably even both. Because the cooldown of 6 seconds, you will notice it because there's a big if. You first have to get hit. So for mecha like Neutron Star or Hot Steel or any Akashic, any mecha that wants to be in your face, this is good because you can just Arthur also run around more quickly because you probably will get hit. Um, but it just does too little. So I think the other ones here do more. So I will place this one here actually. I did try it out. I leveled it up also, as you can see, but it just didn't do it for me compared to what the others give me. So as you can see, I already had a feeling it would have kind of a shape like this, where most of them I recommend to actually never use, and only A and higher are usable. But yeah, the S and S plus are really on a different level in this case. When I was doing my Mecha tier list, the difference between S plus and B was way less big than it is here. So it's a little bit not really the same scale, you could say. It's only relative to one another. But I hope you learned something here. I hope this helped you out in making your decisions. And yeah, let me know what you think. And I will see you all later. Goodbye and peace.